Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, I wasn't really planning on making this series, but here we are. I'm basically going to be redoing my review series because A, the show was so stupid that it might be the worst show I ever had to make on my channel, and B, I really only talked about how bad the episode was instead of just going over the episode entirely. So what do you know? I'm actually going to be doing entire episode breakdowns. What a shock. Okay, so how am I going to start off my series? What? Oh, for the love of God, really? Okay then, before I get on to this infamous episode, why don't I just show you guys the intro for this so-called show and just show you what the title is. Yeah, this little series is called Worst of the Worst. What, you expected me to get a different title for the show? Alright, on to the episode. The episode starts with SpongeBob feeding Gary and getting ready to go to work at the Krusty Krab. However, Gary wants SpongeBob to take him for a walk, but SpongeBob can't. He's gotta go to work. After SpongeBob leaves, Gary is thrilled and watches some TV about cowboys and cowgirls for some reason. Writers, you do know that this is something more for Sandy, right? Meanwhile, at the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob is constantly worrying for Gary. Are we even supposed to be laughing at this? 'Cause it isn't funny. After SpongeBob leaves the Krusty Krab, he comes across some weird and creepy misfortune teller lady with some things. Well, they're technically called Puffy Fluffs. SpongeBob agrees to buy one, but the misfortune telling lady tells SpongeBob on how aggressive they can be. Now, isn't that something we'll get to later? However, SpongeBob ignores the fortune-telling lady's warning and just walks away with the Puffy Fluff. SpongeBob comes home with the thing, names it Puffy Fluffy, and literally puts it next to Gary, and we get a scene that's pretty uncomfortable to watch. Yeah, for kids! SpongeBob then comes with Gary's dinner, but before Gary even thinks about eating his dinner, SpongeBob literally stops him before doing so and literally marks Puffy Fluffy on Gary's bowl. Before Gary even thinks about eating his food yet again, this happens again. Is it just me, or do the writers literally want to keep giving children nightmares from these scenes? Puffy Fluffy eats the entirety of Gary's dinner along with the bowl and threatens to eat Gary alive until SpongeBob comes back in the room. And Puffy Fluffy literally acts innocent like he never did anything wrong. Okay, so this is one of the problems I have with the episode. SpongeBob not even realizing that Puffy Fluffy was about to eat Gary. If SpongeBob realized this, then I guess he could have just taken Puffy Fluffy to Patrick, but no, SpongeBob didn't even notice this. Puffy Fluffy was literally about to eat Gary alive. And this is actually kind of what makes SpongeBob a bit unlikable in the episode. Not even knowing that his pet snail is being tortured by a little innocent creature who's really turning out to be a vicious monster. So, SpongeBob decides to make Gary and Puffy Fluffy play with each other and goes back to eating his nachos. And of course, Puffy Fluffy does his roar thing again and literally destroys all of Gary's stuff. Gary runs away from Puffy Fluffy and runs to SpongeBob, and of course, SpongeBob blames Gary for being afraid of Puffy Fluffy. You know how earlier I said that SpongeBob is extremely unlikable in this episode? Well, this is another problem I have with it. SpongeBob constantly blaming Gary for things that Puffy Fluffy does. It's really frustrating to watch because it just makes you feel bad for Gary. He really doesn't deserve this. SpongeBob makes Gary and Puffy Fluffy share a bed together, and doesn't that look like the most cutest thing ever? Well, for SpongeBob it is, but for us, the viewers, no, it's not. Gary runs upstairs to SpongeBob, and SpongeBob gets mad at Gary yet again. So, SpongeBob goes back downstairs with Gary, puts Gary back into bed with Puffy Fluffy, and then goes back upstairs to go back to sleep, only for Gary to realize that Puffy Fluffy has shredded his skin. Also, this is your last chance. This is where the episode brings us to nightmare fuel, and that's also pretty much the reason on why I added that disclaimer at the beginning. Puffy Fluffy has literally turned into a vicious monster and literally threatens to kill Gary. Yeah, we can't even blame Gary on this one when even the viewers are terrified of this. Gary ends up fighting Puffy Fluffy the entire night, and I'm actually even surprised that SpongeBob is able to sleep through all this because Puffy Fluffy is literally destroying the entirety of SpongeBob's house. Now, after that incident, SpongeBob wakes up and realizes that everything in the house has been destroyed. While he's looking for Gary, we see Puffy Fluffy literally trying to eat him. SpongeBob finally finds Gary along with giant Puffy Fluffy, and we get one of the most stupidest scenes in the entire show. SpongeBob telling Gary to put Puffy Fluffy down, when in reality, Puffy Fluffy is literally trying to eat Gary alive. Puffy Fluffy then tries to eat SpongeBob until Gary rescues SpongeBob and gets Puffy Fluffy to literally escape the house, only for SpongeBob's house to be completely damaged. Now, wasn't that disturbing for viewers? SpongeBob blames Gary yet again and punishes him and says to him that from now on, he's gonna take Gary wherever he goes and he can't stay alone at the house anymore. So, SpongeBob takes Gary to work, gets a job from Mr. Krabs, and that pretty much wraps up this infamous episode that I never want to talk about again. Wow, that was really hard to go through. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep tonight, probably because of Puffy Fluffy's huge size. I mean, a lot of people probably had nightmares from this episode. I mean, look at that goddamn thing. Now, do I think that this episode is worse than any other bad episode from SpongeBob? Well, maybe a little, but not too much. There's still a lot of bad episodes from SpongeBob that I have yet to review, but those are for future videos. Finally, I'm done with that devil. Now, what am I reviewing next time? No way. I quit. I'm not doing this, demon. There's no way I'm ready to review this infamous episode. Can you just give me a different episode to review? That's better. Anyway, join me next time for Worst of the Worst as we cover Sorry Wrong Ed from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Trust me when I say that I've seen bad episodes.